In 2017, I borrowed a friend's hand-me-down bike to attend a free beginner cycling clinic in Central Park. I learned how to clip into pedals and ride around cones. With a crooked helmet, ankle socks, and a bike way too big for me, I did not look like a cyclist that day. I looked like I was straight out of a garage sale. Flash forward to this summer, and I stood on the podium at the Paris Olympics after winning 2 gold medals in cycling. As I stood under the Eiffel Tower, people celebrated my story of how I had gone from beginner to gold medalist in just 7 years. To many people, it felt like a fairy tale. To me, my story did not feel like an overnight success, but rather years of hard work, perseverance, and seizing opportunities. Today, I want to talk about how I approach seizing opportunities. It really comes down to 4 pillars, which are preparation, action, courage, and execution. A successful race begins long before the starting line. Preparation can begin months, even years before the big event. When we prepare, we are more confident and ready to seize any opportunity that comes our way. In 2020, I was working full-time as a venture capitalist in California. I dreamed of the day when I could compete in Europe against the best cyclists in the world. I was told that opportunity would be years away because I first had to prove myself in America, where the racing was a lot less competitive. And yet I still trained and prepared every single day as if I was going to Europe tomorrow. I spoke to every cyclist I knew to learn about the European racing scene. I woke up between 4:30 and 5 a.m. every day for years so that I could train like the pros before my 10-hour workday. I spent every vacation day and weekend away at races and training camps. I moved to a new city so I could be close to group rides and good training roads. I ate healthy, I went to the gym, I read books on nutrition, and I tracked my sleep. I made a budget, I saved, and I prepared for the day when I would go to Europe. In 2020, COVID hit, and all the American racing was canceled. I received an unexpected call from my team manager saying she was considering sending me to Europe early because it's the only place in the world where racing was still happening. I was only able to convince her to let me go and to seize that opportunity because I had spent so long preparing as if I was going to Europe tomorrow. That trip changed the entire trajectory of my cycling career, and it only happened because I prepared long before I even knew the opportunity was there. Similarly, this past summer, I was actually initially not even selected to compete in the Olympic road race. Even though I was the backup, I still prepared and trained as if I was going to race. I studied the course in meticulous detail, memorizing every critical climb, corner, and narrow road. I devised a strategy for how I thought I could win based on my strengths and how I thought the race would unfold. In training, I even practiced what I thought would be a race-winning move. I was prepared for a race that I didn't even know I was going to compete in. Less than a month before the Olympics, I received a call that my teammate pulled out of the race, and now I had the opportunity to compete. I was able to show up fully prepared on race day and ready to give my best because I had spent months training and preparing as if I was going to race. Preparation is not just physical, it's mental as well. For years, I had worked with a mental coach to help prepare for the stress and pressure of race day. I built a support network around myself to manage the emotional roller coaster that comes with pursuing an ambitious dream. I found a psychologist before I even needed one so that I had a professional to turn to when things got tough, which they inevitably did. I read books on positive psychology and emotional resilience and stoicism to help build the performance mindset. And on social media, I only followed accounts that lifted my confidence, inspired me, and made me feel good about myself. My Olympic experience was an emotional whirlwind. I competed in 2 very different events that were just 2 days apart, and each one required very different mental preparation. The psychological work I had done for years had taught me how to stay calm and composed and adapt to different situations. So I was able to show up to these races mentally prepared and fully ready to give my best in both events, even as a last-minute call-up for one of them. Preparation does not guarantee success, but it greatly increases the odds. In every one of those situations, I prepared for the opportunity I wanted, not just the opportunity I currently had. So when the opportunity I wanted showed up unexpectedly and early, I was primed and ready to seize it. If you have a dream or goal, don't wait to start preparing. Start laying the groundwork today. Even when we prepare, opportunities don't just come knocking on our door at the most convenient times. They often show up unexpectedly, and they can be fleeting. Action is about knowing how to make quick, decisive decisions with a sense of urgency so that we can seize opportunities before they slip away. In the Olympic road race this past summer, I found myself entering the final stretch with a group of 3 other riders who were all better sprinters than me. I was up against the current world champion and the greatest cyclist of all time. With 4 of us riders and only 3 medals at stake, I knew that if we went to the finish line together, I would be the one to show up empty-handed. I had to find a way to get away from them. As we rounded a corner along the Seine River, I saw an opportunity to make a move. I didn't know how the other girls were feeling. I didn't know if the girl behind me was watching my every move. I didn't know if it was the perfect moment. I didn't know how my legs would perform in the final 4 minutes of the race. But I didn't have time to answer those questions. The opportunity was there, and in a flash, it would be gone. Without overthinking it, I launched an explosive move up the left-hand side of the road, and I successfully created a gap. If I had hesitated for just a second, if I had second-guessed my strategy for even a moment, if I had tried to answer those questions that were spinning in my mind, the opportunity would have been lost. I had to act quickly, swiftly, and urgently. This is the essence of action, knowing when to make quick decisions so that we can seize fleeting opportunities. Ask yourself, what opportunities might you be missing out on because you're second-guessing yourself? You're hesitating. Act now before it's too late. If action is about making quick decisions, courage is about pushing through fear and discomfort. Every meaningful opportunity carries risk. And that risk causes a lot of people to shy away from really great opportunities. Courage is about acknowledging the risk and feeling scared, but pushing forward anyway. We need courage to seize opportunities. When I left my desk job in 2021 to pursue cycling full-time, I was absolutely terrified. I didn't know if I would ever feel financially secure again. I left behind a stable job, my friends, my family, and a career I genuinely enjoyed. I moved to Girona, Spain, where I had no friends, no family, no apartment, and I did not even speak the Catalan language. Many people doubted me, and I often doubted myself. Many nights I cried because I was homesick, exhausted, and alone. But I knew that without courage to take this risk, without the courage to face my fears and to step into the unknown, there would be no Olympic opportunity. Courage is not about being fearless. It's about acknowledging the fear and pushing forward anyway. Last summer, I was hit by a car on a training ride, and I developed a life-threatening blood clot in my lung. I spent 3 months recovering indoors, unsure if I would ever be able to ride outside again. When I finally did get back outside, I couldn't ride near cars without feeling panic and crippling anxiety. I thought every car would end my career, or worse, my life. Instead of walking away, I worked with a psychologist to face my fears and to find a path forward. It would have been easy to give up in that moment, but I had to find the courage to get back on my bike, to trust the roads again, and to confront what I was scared of. My opportunity to try out for the Olympics was just a few months away, but in order to seize it, I had to find courage. Every opportunity worth taking involves risk. Every opportunity worth taking requires courage. When you're scared, can you find the courage to step into it, knowing that the greatest opportunities often lie on the other side of our comfort zone? Seizing an opportunity is just the first step. Execution is about having the discipline to follow through even when things are tough. For long journeys, this requires grit and perseverance. When I first earned my opportunity to compete in Europe, I wanted to make the most of it. Because I was a relative beginner, it required a lot of hard work and resilience. I changed so many flat tires in the cold, pouring rain when I could not feel my fingers, just so that I could finish my training ride. Some days I trained so hard I nearly fell asleep in the shower afterwards. I crashed more often than I like to admit, but I got back up every single time, frequently finishing races with bloody arms and scraped legs. Actually, if you look closely, you can see that I still have scars on my elbows, my knees, and my ankles. And through all of that, there was no fanfare. There was no gold medals, no one asking for my autograph or telling me I was destined to be an Olympic champion. For years, it was just the grind, and there was no guarantee of success. It would have been really easy to lose momentum, to give up and to walk away, but I had to keep working if I wanted to keep the opportunity alive. Executing on an opportunity can take years, but it can also happen in the course of a few minutes. In the Olympic road race, after I seized my opportunity to get away solo, it was time for me to execute. Once I successfully got a gap, I tucked my body into an aerodynamic position and kept my head down in order to maintain speed. As the crowds roared around me, I stayed laser focused on the road ahead. As pain seared through my legs and lungs, I counted to 10 over and over to distract myself from the pain. I did not even know how far the chasers were behind me because I intentionally did not look back. And as I approached the final meters of the race, I refused to celebrate before the line just in case they were closing in. I was so focused on my execution, I did not even notice as I rode by the Louvre and the Eiffel Tower. When I finally crossed the finish line, I became the first American woman in 40 years to win a gold medal in the road race. I seized an opportunity and I executed on it. Opportunities don't just fall into our laps. They come to those who are prepared, who act decisively, who have the courage to step into the unknown, and who execute with discipline. When I first moved to Europe, I had a rapid trajectory in cycling because I prepared for every race as if I was studying for a college math exam. Because I acted decisively with every decision. I had the courage to face my biggest fears and to take really big risks, and because I executed through every setback and challenge. In the Olympic road race, I was not the most experienced person that day. But I prepared before I even knew I was selected to compete. I acted without hesitating when I made my move. I had the courage to take that risk, and I executed on it with full focus. Opportunities don't just come to us in the perfect moments, because there are no perfect moments. But we can show up every single day with the right preparation, with the mindset to act, with the courage to face our fears, and the discipline to execute. Now that I've shared a little bit of my story, I hope you'll find this framework useful in your own life. Prepare for the opportunity, act on the opportunity, have the courage to face the opportunity, and when you seize the opportunity, execute on it with everything you've got. Thank you.